This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to Ocala Talks on a beautiful Tuesday morning. I'm your host, Tom Schmitz, coming to you from the palatial studios of WOCA Radio, located just off the runway at the Ocala International Airport in the Brick City, beautiful Ocala, Florida. Galen, is locked in the seat, ready to speak with me. He's brought to you every day by Palm Garden Health Rehabilitation Center, Penn Flooring, and JustShip.net. Galen, good morning.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Well, I'm fresh.
Right?
I'm fresh, and I'm ready to go, and I'm ready for a fight. So, what are you going to pick today? What are you going to pick today?
It's your show. I don't know. There's not a lot going on.
Well, you would think from my email box this morning that there was quite a bit going on. I've been called a loving liberal. I can't use some of the words that were used. I've been called a lover of the liberals. I've been called a race baiter this morning. I've been called a white nationalist this morning in an email. So people all over the board. I don't know. I guess if they are giving me all these titles, that means they're listening to the program.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I think as a society we've become afraid to, talk about certain topics.
Not me, pal.
Whether it's, well, and again, I think that's part of the beauty of having an independently owned radio station where you don't have to worry about some guy at corporate who heard a snippet of what you've said, taking it out of context, and the next thing you know, gets fired. So I've always thought that was refreshing. It's Dan has never once, or Joe even called me and said, "What are you talking about today?" So, and I think I've always thought that was refreshing.
Well,
and there's not enough of that in society. The radio for, hundreds of years now has been, the focal point of how we transmit ideas to each other. And I think in a large part we've lost that. It's become really, in one way or the other. I mean, radio is, let's be honest, 90% conservative talk. And you can't just have a discussion.
No, you really.
And except for WOCA.
Well, Coach Spurrier said it best. You know why Dan hired me and why he won't fire me? It's because I was cheap and I was available. That's what Coach Spurrier used to always say. Coach Spurrier said reason he kept getting his jobs, he was cheap and available.
That's right.
But, yeah, yesterday I seemed to strike a chord with a lot of different people over my take on replacement theory, the grand replacement theory, the great replacement theory, and its place in the United States. And, hey, here's the thing. If anything you and I talk about, or anything I talk about with my guest, or anything that I talk about without a guest gets people talking instead of, fighting with each other, although these were some mean emails, but they were, I don't care. Thanks for listening, and I send it back, But at least it gets the conversation started.
Well, and again, sometimes you have to start the conversation. And again, I also believe that you don't really know what your own truths are unless you challenge them. Because if it's truth, it will hold up to whatever criticisms or attacks are made to it. That's why it's called the truth. And you're no longer allowed to test someone's truth, right? Because that's offensive, and I have no problem with it. I've always said it's very hard to offend. Now that my kids are grown, they can take care of myself. I don't know of a single topic where you could offend me.
Well, and here's what.
Now I may get upset with
you,
but I'm not going to be offended by what you've said.
Well, here's what offends most people, I think, when you question what they think their truth is.
Sure. Well, right. If you question something that they hold as a truth, is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's where people really get upset. I don't think they get so offended by the words you use. I think that people get offended more by how dare you call me out or try to go against what I know to be true.
Yeah, you're not allowed to challenge someone's truth. And I think that's where we've come with all the way up to, the nomination or the confirmation of a Supreme Court judge, where she can't even say what is a woman because it challenges someone's truth.
Right.
And if we can't get basic biology, if we can't challenge proven science, then where are we?
Well,
and again, we couldn't challenge science.
A senator,
during COVID.
A senator did a commencement speech this weekend at a university and was booed, loudly booed, when she said, "These are trying times we're in. We're facing." She talked about Putin and everything, and she goes, "We're facing the people are questioning the biological evidence of the two sexes," and the place went crazy with boos because she had only said two sexes.
Well, and again, I think those people who believe that there are more than two sexes, and we can even take out gender if that makes you feel better, but biologically, there are two.
In the entire animal world,
Correct.
there are two, which
Correct.
we are part of the animal world.
That's correct. And again, you can't challenge that person's truth because society, or really they put themselves into a protective class.
Right, exactly.
And then society has bought into that. And, I don't understand, like, if it's a truth, right? If it's a truth, that it can hold up to any criticism.
Right. You should never get upset at criticism if it is criticizing the truth, because the truth will. Hey, there's a lot to be said for the truth will set you free.
Well, and again, let's put religion at it, right? Let's put Christianity against the test. How many people have been critical of Christianity, of Jesus, right? And it is stood as a pillar of our society. Now, there's a lot of reports that it's diminishing in its numbers. The number of churches that are in this country hit by COVID is absolutely remarkable. How many churches were lost during COVID, but it's still a truth. And people can come at it from all sides, and you're like, no, it's still a truth. Nothing you've said has questioned my truth. History continues to prove that it's a truth. Science continues to prove that what's in that Bible is truth. And you can't say that about everything in our society. And that's also why norms need to be shifted, because the truth has changed. There is a time when if you weren't white, you were considered less than or not as smart, or, right, you weren't a full human being. And then that truth got questioned and criticized until it collapsed. And I think that's what will happen with society. I think we'll go back and go, look, we can't keep telling our children there are 7 genders and that, I'm sorry, there's probably more than that. But, we can't keep doing this and confusing these kids. And I think it'll come back to there's just 2, right? I think that's part of it. All truths should be tested. I'm not saying you should never challenge them, but a good truth should be completely challenged every single day. And your own personal truth should be challenged and looked at critically every single day.
Every day. Got to take a break. We'll be right back. More with Galen Unal from Life South at this time out on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Bumpin' Brave and Bold, the Orlando International Fringe Theater Festival is back May 17th through the 30th with over 200 shows. This unique cultural experience is held at Lock Haven Park. 2022 brings new and exciting features to the Orlando Fringe. You don't want to miss out. Tickets are available at orlandofringe.org. Again, May 17th through the 30th is the 31st Orlando Fringe, and it's sure to be the best yet. Get your tickets at orlandofringe.org.
It's Blockers Furniture Memorial Sale going on the entire month of May. Beautiful two-piece sectional starting as low as $19 per month. Sofas for as little as $10 per month. Kick back in a new recliner for as little as $11 per month. Plus, you can save up to $700 off the Ashley Reeling Queen Bed and Dresser Mirror Set. And save 25% off all outdoor furniture. Mattresses starting at only $3.99. See it, buy it, take it home. It's Blockers Furniture Memorial Sale going on the entire month of May. Blockers Furniture, 2402 Southwest College Road, Ocala.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Tuesday, Galen Unal from Life South joins us, as he does every day, brought to you by the good folks at Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, JustShip.net, and Penn Flooring. Galen, you know, I know we've talked about this a lot, and news came out yesterday that the governor, again, tells the state not to worry about Disney. Don't worry about their debt. He wants to take over, you know, Disney as a state. The state will run Reedy Creek. He's alluding to that the local governments won't have to run Reedy Creek. The state will. And then he says, look, don't worry about Disney's debt. I got the biggest surplus budget we've ever had. Why the hell do I want my surplus budget to go towards Disney's debt?
Well, you know, I read this really briefly last night. I need to look into it, because what it will allow to do is it will allow the federal or the state government to own all of that land, and then we can create tax revenues off of that land. But what I don't understand is what is on that plot. Whether you turn that into toll roads or whatever, or do you now have, is Disney now just a leasee? Like, can you now charge rent to? But
how can they take the land from Disney? Disney owns the land. How can they take it from them?
Well, that's what I don't. And again, you caught me unprepared, but I don't know how much of that land that Disney actually sits on they own.
They own 27 square miles. Walt Disney bought 27 square miles in the late 50s and early 60s.
Yeah, you obviously are. You're more aware of it than I am. So I'm sorry, I can't add much to it yet.
Yeah, well, I just don't.
I don't know what the
comment that I have the biggest budget surplus we've ever had. So don't worry about Disney's debt. I want my budget surplus used for something else. And be clear. This is my budget surplus and your budget surplus. It's not, he says, I have the biggest surplus. It's not just Ron DeSantis's. It's everybody that pays taxes in the state of Florida. Sometimes I think politicians lose sight of that fact.
You don't have to tell me. I don't want to spend money if we don't. Maybe you I don't know, build a refinery in the state of Florida to lower gas prices all across the country.
I'm okay
I don't
with
know.
that. I'm okay
I don't know
with
what
that.
you do with it. You know, maybe you build a shipping port. You know, somewhere where we can improve our infrastructure costs by lowering shipping rates into our own state, and we're not reliant on 4 or 5 ports across the country. I don't know. I don't know what we do with that, but I'm game for both of those.
Yeah, I just, you know, and I like the governor's doing a great job with everything, and I'm support our governor. But the fact that he's saying statements like, I have the biggest budget surplus. No, the taxpayers of Florida have the biggest budget surplus.
And again, whenever a politician has this much popularity, you have to worry about him jumping the shark.
Yes.
And again, I don't know who in the government currently, in our state government, has really the authority, or not the authority, but the numbers to actually check this guy.
I don't think there is anybody.
He's become a cult hero.
He is.
And that, again, that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think he's still overall been a really good governor.
95% of what he's done, I think, has been great things.
But you and I have been against this whole thing with Reedy Creek from the beginning.
Yep.
Now, if he could pull the rabbit out of the hat and make this work, okay. And I'm willing to listen to what his plans are.
Because his track record's very good. His track record's very good.
Well, right. And again, I'm willing to listen to him. But again, I haven't gotten any deeper than, the first 4 or 5 paragraphs of an article. So just hearing the same thing, but I don't know what the benefit of it is or why it would be counterproductive. I don't even know what the cost of it is, right? Because did you see that anywhere?
No, we've heard conflicting. Do they owe $1 billion? Do they owe almost $2 billion? And these municipal bonds were taken out against the property to then do improvements and road improvements and build parking decks and everything. Everything Disney done was to improve its area. Whether it improved Orange County or Osceola County is in question. But everything they did, all these bonds were taken out to improve what Disney needed improved. And sometimes the argument can be made, sometimes Disney did those improvements without thinking about their neighbors around them. And that is a very good point.
Or the impact it had on the recreation of that area. Because I know there was a lot of swampland down there, for example. Again, I don't have enough to really challenge you on it one way or the other. So I apologize for that. And to be honest with you, I don't know how many people do. This whole thing with Reedy Creek has been, we just kind of ignored it because it looked like it was being taken care of.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't.
When you would drive through it, like, this is pretty nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Disney is doing something right. And it was always pointed out as this is what can be done when a private business runs the infrastructure.
Right. Yeah. Because Celebration, the town of Celebration is a Disney.
Sure.
Disney created that town. That's where a lot of executives for Disney live and everything. I mean, it was done very well. I mean, there's a lot of examples of what Disney did to improve that area, but at what cost to the people that were surrounding. And by the way, the governor, it's still early in this process. The governor may prove to be very accurate here and come out smelling like a rose. That's his track record. Usually when you question him, he's thought it through real well, and he's come up with, but this time they're not just giving very much information. They're just saying this is going to happen, but without any way or any understanding of how it's going to happen. And that causes me a little pause. That causes me to pause.
And I think we should. I think we need to question everything our government does with our money. Maybe you could find an expert on the Reedy Creek and interview him. Bring us all up to life.
Well, maybe I'll get Governor DeSantis on. How about that?
There you go. And he's never really shied away from talking to people, so maybe he would share.
Shoot for the stars. Who knows? What's the worst they could say? No?
Yeah, I don't know. I hear no every single day. I don't know. Not that bad.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. It's not really that terrible of a thing. But I just sometimes his wording, and it comes with popularity. Sometimes, like you said, a politician can get so popular that jumping the shark becomes an issue.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you see it all the time. It's like, oh, I can do anything. You know, I mean, Trump said I could kill a man in the street and my people would still love me.
He's right, too.
By the way, I thought it was incredibly funny. But, again, I think that's a true reality. Whether we like that or not as citizens, I mean, that's on the table. And by the way, we've had to have politicians kill people, and the public still love them. All you have to do is look at Massachusetts. I can't even say it. And one of the Kennedys, right? I mean,
no, Mary Jo Kopechne drowned on her own accord. It was not Ted Kennedy's fault. The car flipped. Ted Kennedy had no responsibility there. He saved himself. He dove down twice to try to save her before he went back and slept for 8 hours before he called the cops. Calm down now.
Well, there you go. Good example, isn't it?
Yes. Ted Kennedy was behind the wheel of a car. For those that don't know, I don't know how you would know. It's Chappaquiddick. Look it up on the internet. But Ted Kennedy was leaving a party from the Kennedy compound. Ran off a bridge. Car overturned upside down in a shallow creek, or they say shallow creek, less than 10 feet. And he saved himself and didn't save the girl he was with because she was a pool secretary and he was a married man. You draw your own conclusions.
Right.
You draw your own conclusions.
Right.
But Mary Jo Kopechne's family, not a big fan of the Kennedys. I'll just say that.
Yeah, rightfully so. Don't get in a car with them.
No, don't. You never want a Kennedy to drive. And by the way, or a plane. Let's just clear that up, too.
No, stay away from a plane, too. And definitely don't ride in a convertible.
Do not get in a convertible.
That was just a joke, people. Just a joke.
All emails to Tom at WOCA. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
You know, I was somebody sent me the Lincoln and Kennedy coincidences and asked me, are these true? And I go, you know, scarily enough, most of them are true. I mean, you know, the fact that one was in Maryland when he got killed. One had just been to Maryland before he got killed, and the other one had been with Maryland. I was like, okay, that's a little stretch. But, you know, a little stretch. But if you don't know the similarities between Kennedy and Lincoln, look that up. It's quite, the coincidences are quite startling, to say the least. When they were elected first to Congress, when they were elected president, when they were born, when their vice presidents were born, both their vice presidents were named Johnson from the South. There's a lot of similarities.
Sure.
We'll take a break. We'll be back more with Galen Unoff this time out. You're listening to Ocala Talks on a Tuesday. Coming up at 9 o'clock, it's Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. She is in the building for In the Garden with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. And yes, the phone lines are working. And then at 10 o'clock, it's Matt Gibbs of Sunrise Auto. We'll be right back at this time out on WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
The Justice Department is reporting it encountered more than 234,000 illegal immigrants at the southern border in April, the most ever in 1 month. Those encounters included people who reported to authorities at legal ports of entry and those caught crossing illegally. About 23,000 illegal immigrants who went through a border crossing in San Diego included Ukrainian refugees admitted through the process known as humanitarian parole. Steps are being taken to ease the ongoing nationwide baby formula shortage. Abbott, the company with a shuttered plant in Michigan, has entered into a consent decree with the FDA in a bid to restart production at its facility. A court must approve it, and initial requirements to restart the plant must be met. When that happens, the facility could come back online within 2 weeks. USA Radio News.
I tend to second-guess dinners with friends because they're often interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit Creon.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREON.com.
Here's the latest from the College of Central Florida. On Wednesday, May 18th at 10:35 a.m., Dr. Alan Daniff and Dr. Rob Wolf from CF will tell us how members of the community can share their experience by becoming an adjunct instructor at CF. So tune in to hear how rewarding it can be to share your knowledge in the classroom. That's Wednesday, May 18th at 10:35 on Higher Education Happenings on Ocala Talks on WOCA, The Source.
Nirvana, Ocala's premier medical spa, is leading the way in great skin with all the newest in treatment options, offering prejuvenation for younger clients and rejuvenation for all ages. Nirvana knows you want to look your very best. We want you to look like you, just better, brighter, and younger, with all the newest and best in technology, and all in the most beautiful surroundings. Like Nirvana Medical Spa on Facebook and find them on the web at nirvanamedicalspa.com. Become a better, brighter, and younger you.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. Not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics, now with offices in Ocala and the Villages. Hey everybody, this is Tom Schmitz. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biological therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissues in your joints with lasting results. If you got pain in your knees, your shoulders, hips, back like I do, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. That's right, no surgery. Don't go through another year with that awful joint pain, and don't let them put you under the knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. There's offices in Ocala and the Villages, so give them a call, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune in to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors, Sunday mornings at 8 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen Sunday mornings at 8 to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors.
Our firm offers insurance services.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Tuesday. Galen Enoff from Life South joins us as he does every day. Brought to you by the good folks at Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, justship.net, and Penn Flooring. Galen, the brakes have been pumped officially, and it looks like the sale may even be off. And Elon Musk said it's Twitter's fault because they overvalued their company because they had too many bots and everything, too many fake profiles, so they didn't have near the population of people that they said they had. Actually, it was somewhere, he's estimating now, somewhere between the 7 and 10 million range of people that weren't actual real people. They were bots and troll accounts. So he says the company was undervalued, so he's trying, it looks like, to back out of the deal, and Twitter stock is plummeting because of it.
Well, actually, I think even if he doesn't buy it, he's completely changed Twitter. I came back on. I've been on now, a week? And you can see the difference because there are not people getting canceled left and right for saying what we talked about in the first segment, which is just challenging someone's truth. I think it's changed pretty dramatically in that week. So even if he doesn't end up owning it, I think he did what he set out to do, which was to kind of check Twitter and say, look, you can't just act arbitrarily. And some of the things he says, I completely believe in. I believe that every Twitter user should be verified in some way as a real person.
100%.
Whether or not you use your real name, we can argue, right? But you need to show some proof that you're a human being. And maybe Twitter just protects your identity. But I think that would change everything if you were no longer anonymous on Twitter or any social media.
You're probably one of those guys that think you ought to have to present some sort of formal ID to get a voting ballot too. I bet you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am. And again, by the way, if you've ever tried to become verified on Twitter, it's incredibly difficult because they want it to be difficult because they only want to check mark the people that they want to check mark. So I'm not necessarily a big fan of the check mark, but I also like this idea of if you're a super user of Twitter or if you're a business, then you should pay for an account. I don't think that's a problem. So I think some of his ideas are very, very good, and I think it's and the people who think that Twitter is toxic and all of this, those are the people who are afraid to have their own truths challenged.
100%. That is the people that are afraid to have their truths
challenged.
That's
correct. Right. And again, you're not gonna. Again, I'm not gonna get offended by something that I read from some person on Twitter. It doesn't upset me, but it's amazing how you could say the simplest thing that masks don't work, and the world of Twitter goes crazy.
Yeah, and here's my problem. Here's my biggest problem with Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the social media sites and video sites. There's nobody to present your problems or your questions to. There's no phone number.
Right.
There's no email. There's no way you don't have any recourse. They can destroy you or destroy your accounts and everything. There's nobody to question it. There's nobody to ask about it. There's nobody to talk to. It's like they don't even exist, yet we know they do. We've seen the big corporate offices of Facebook. We've seen the corporate offices of Twitter. We know that Google owns YouTube, so there's people that work at YouTube. But it's almost like we're bigger than you. We don't have to communicate with you. Either do it the way we say or you're just done. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and again, I think all of that's kind of being challenged in a good way, in an absolutely good way. Maybe again, everything when something gets so big, they feel like they don't have to be challenged anymore. That's when you have to bring them back in and check them. And I think that's healthy. I think we need to check the President of the United States right now for the amount of power he has. I think we need to give some power back to the Congress. But also those people don't want that power because that's how they get voted out. Because then they have a voting record, or they have to actually stand for something, and they're scared to death that their base is going to go against them for what they've said or voted on.
And that's why you don't see a lot of desire for And I'm not the biggest fan of oversight, believe me. But something's got to be done.
Oh, I am.
These big mega social media platforms just can't go unchecked.
Well, it depends on what you mean by oversight. I'm 100% for the oversight of our government. That's always what the media was supposed to do. But anybody who's watching the media on a consistent basis and reading and listening to what they put out, it's pretty clear what way they lean. So, I think we have to check the people in power, including Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, yes.
You and I have no means to check either one of them as an individual.
No, because we got thrown off one of the platforms. We won't mention it because they may throw us off again, but we got thrown off one of the platforms for saying what is generally accepted as fact now. We said it 4 or 5 months ago, and they threw us off Twitter. They threw us off, not Twitter, but they threw us off one of the social media platforms because you and I had a conversation and said things that they thought at the time went against the World Health Organization, which in fact have been proven and is more, you hear people talk about more of it's factual now than non-factual. But at the time, they threw us off their platform, and we had no recourse. We just had to deal with it.
Sure. And what that does is it takes away our right to assemble. I really believe that. And I think the right to assemble is one of those underrated Bill of Rights. And people take that for granted, but look at COVID and when it took our right to assemble away, how much that impacted us. If I can't share ideas with the collective, whether that's via social media, whether that's the town square, whether it's in my neighborhood, because of a small gathering, then how am I supposed to get my ideas out and to share my ideas? And that's what Twitter and Facebook and all these social platforms are. It's an assembly of people who are sharing ideas.
It just shows you that unless somebody, does what they say, then they're going to penalize you for it. And it's just something has to change there. And I think Elon Musk started it on the right way started going down that road when he said he was going to buy Twitter and everything. But now it looks like that sale may be dead in the water. More to come. We'll see about that. I saw this and I thought, well, of course he would say no. Jack Nicklaus is now confirming a story that was published by Fire Pit Collective. Jack Nicklaus is now confirming that he turned down over $100 million that was offered to him by the Saudis to run the LIV Golf Invitational Series that Greg Norman now runs. He says, I turned it down once verbally, once in writing. I said, guys, I got to stay with the PGA Tour. I helped bring into prominence the modern PGA Tour. I have loyalties. What? I don't even know. And I know that, money, some people think money solves all issues and all. But do they really think throwing $100 million at Jack Nicklaus would work?
Well, and again, the PGA Tour is a private company and they do not share their finances. But we also know there are some people that made money off of the PGA Tour. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think we know Arnold did. We know Jack did in some form or capacity. They made money directly from the PGA Tour.
They started it. They broke away from the PGA America back in '68. Jack was one of the founding members of the professional arm of the PGA.
Of course. Absolutely. And there was a bunch of those guys. And again, I think Jack. There's no way Jack was going to leave the PGA Tour. There's just no way. There's no way. And again, they'll again, sometimes, just like we've said, PGA Tour probably needs to be checked, right? And they're getting checked right now. And I don't care if it's good quality golf. You and I will watch it. If it's not, we won't.
It's kind of like I watch the NFL because it's good quality football. I don't care what you say about protest and all that. The game in between the white lines is a good game. It's not as good as it was when, 25 years ago when you could hurt people and decapitate them, because I like that. But, that's just me. I'm a weirdo like that. But it's a good game. I don't watch the USFL. You know why? It's a terrible product. It's not a good product. It's guys that aren't good enough to play in the NFL. I have that already. It's called college football.
Yeah, and it may not be. It's not college football. You see the guy who was practicing with a cigarette in his mouth?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's. By the way,
I'm like, when did Mac Davis and Nick Nolte come back to football?
That's right. Here we are in Dallas Fort.
North Dallas
Fort. Yeah. I thought it was hilarious. And I think that's why they put it out. And again, if they market it that way and don't take themselves too seriously, the numbers will always be good enough. I have no problem with it. I think it's kind of funny.
North Dallas 40, by the way, written by one of the greatest sports writers in the history of sports writing, Dan Jenkins, who also wrote Dead Solid Perfect that starred Randy Quaid, a golf movie.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
And Dan Jenkins, by the way, if you know anything about Dan Jenkins,
not a good golf movie.
No, if you know anything about Dan Jenkins, Twitter was invented for Dan Jenkins. I promise you.
Sure.
He had the best one-liners in the world. So, but yeah, I just didn't understand. I mean, the Saudis have to be smart people. They end up with a lot of money. They got to have some intelligence. They had to know Jack was going to say thanks, but no thanks.
But don't you believe that that's part of what the Saudis do? Is they're like, look, who can we go after? And it in a weird way, it's like, wow, these guys are willing to do whatever it takes to come success, right? And they throw money at every problem they have. I don't think this is a bad idea for the Saudis to at least go after them.
Well, I think if the Saudis if they had known what was what in golf, they knew which guy to go after, and it's the guy they got. Because Norman since the mid '90s has had a burr in his bonnet, bee in his bonnet about the PGA Tour, and has tried numerous times to get the freedom of golfers as independent contractors to do what they want to do without having to ask permission. That's been his moniker for as long as I've known who Greg Norman was.
Yeah, absolutely agree. You know what's going to happen at some point? At some point, you are going to have some type of a tournament where it's the Saudi Tour against the PGA Tour, or the Saudi Tour against the European Tour, right?
Like a Super Bowl, but it's a tour. Yeah, tour against tour. Yeah.
Like it is like the Ryder Cup.
Right, the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, exactly.
Maybe they call it the World Cup of Golf. I don't know what they call it. But if that ever happens, boy, then you've got something. Then you know the Saudis have arrived.
Right. If they get this, because the right now the Ryder Cup is Europe. It used to be just the Great Britain, but now it's Europe versus the United States. And the President's Cup is the rest of the world, excluding Europe, versus the United States. And
which nobody really cares.
Nah.
Nobody really cares what the President does.
Nah, it's
It's
like
the PGA. It's the
PGA Championship, exactly. It's just it's kind of important, but not really.
Right. Agreed. Correct. That's absolutely right.
It's kind of important, but not really. So.
Nah.
But like this weekend, this week on the PGA Tour, it's kind of important. Not really. We already had the Players Championship. Bigger tournament to me.
Well,
but,
we're gonna this weekend is going to be. There's some good stuff going on. Whether it's the basketball, which is going to be great, the NHL, the PGA, F1s in Spain at Barcelona. Maybe Mercedes brings some upgrades. Really looking forward to our segment on that on Friday. We can really break that down. It's been a good hour on F1. And, of course, this weekend there's some great Premier League stuff going on, so we can break down Liverpool.
So
on Friday as well.
In a move that is ho-hum, what would you expect?
Do you want to talk about the Southampton game today?
No, we're going to have to hold off on that. We're going to have to hold off on that.
Dang it.
All
right.
And what
it's a pretty big match.
Yeah, it is. I know. And what is called, in what I estimate is, really, why is this news? What did you think he was going to do as a job? It was announced that Sean Payton has taken a job with Fox for the 2022 season.
Yeah,
he's going to work in studio. He's going to serve as a fill-in for Jimmy Johnson during Jimmy Johnson's off weeks with the Fox NFL Sunday crew. He did not get the job that he was in for at Amazon, who has Thursday Night Football starting in 2022. But his gig at Fox, they say, is not a permanent thing probably because everybody readily expects him to return to football in 2023 or 2024. But I remember a hot football coach some years ago, they readily expected him to return. It took him almost 10 years to come back, and that was John Gruden, who had left after being successful and went into the booth. Sean Payton could have a very long career in the booth if he has as much personality as it looks like he has in the short blips we see when he does interviews.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows he's going to be the next Dallas Cowboys coach, right? Jerry Jones is going to just throw the world at him. And again, good for Sean Payton. I don't care if these TV executives want to throw that kind of money at you. You'd be a fool to take it. I mean, Tom Brady's going to go now and work for CBS apparently when he retires. I don't blame Tom Brady. He's going to. By the way, he will be terrible in the booth. But Sean Payton, you're right. He could be good. And I've always thought that coaches are better at that than players, because coaches aren't afraid to be critical of players, because that's how they became a great coach.
Yeah, and that, and none was better at it, although he wasn't so critical as he was campy. But I think the bar was set for coaches instead of players in the booth when John Madden became so uber famous. But my question is, was John Madden, did the booth make him famous, or did EA Sports make him famous?
Oh, I think the booth made him famous because the game was terrible, and then all of a sudden they were able to increase the amount of graphics they could store on that game, and then it became good. You got to remember, Madden was huge when EA Sports said, let's put Madden on this. Let's call it the Madden game, because they needed to add credibility to the game because there were so many other football games out there, right? EA Sports went to John Madden for a reason. That's the real truth.
And
he was huge before
he got the name put on the game from the booth when the hottest coach at the time. All he got wasn't it college football. Wasn't it Bill Walsh's college football? Wasn't that what he got?
Correct. It was only on one device. I think it was a Genesis device.
Yeah, it was Sega Genesis.
So yeah, and back in the day, you could not afford more than one. You just couldn't. And so you knew which kid in the neighborhood had the Nintendo system and who had the Genesis system.
All right, well,
and you would go over there.
That's just incorrect.
Hang out with them.
That's just incorrect, pal. It's just incorrect. I still have
to
this
day.
Know
anybody
I still have to this day in my house right now with game system and everything. I had the Sega Genesis dual Sega CD combo. I had the Sega CD and the Sega Genesis combo. I had two different gaming systems, the CD and the Genesis and the cartridge. So,
yeah, but that's Sega.
But it was
that's
still
Sega because you just upgraded.
No, I bought it as a
Nobody
set. I bought it as a set. Okay.
All right. Well, nobody had Sega and Nintendo.
Oh, yes, I did. I had the NES and the Sega 16-bit Sega.
All right, big time.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So the next time you talk about how how
Bro,
hard
remember,
your childhood was.
Remember? No, this wasn't my
I'm gonna
childhood.
remember.
Remember,
No.
this didn't come out till Sega didn't come out till I was 19, 20, and NES systems didn't hit till I was 15 probably. Up until I was like 14 or 15, I played arcade games in the arcade. There was no. You still had Coleco and
You're not that old. You're not that older than me.
Oh yeah, they came out. NES was introduced in like 83, 84. I was 18 years old then. Sega Genesis came out in 85, 86. I was 19, 20 years old then. Oh yeah.
Well, that doesn't count.
So I had a job. I could actually buy a system.
Sega.
Although we
Remember
didn't buy it. I think one of my fraternity brothers stole it from somebody. To be honest with you,
Same thing.
You know, so.
But
remember,
at the end of every commercial,
Sega. Remember, we were all what the parents would call potheads back then when we were 19, 20 years old.
Sure you were.
So video games were part of it. Oh, video games were the world. And then they came out with PlayStation. We were like, what the hell is this? What is this?
Well, PlayStation. I was in my 20s with PlayStation.
Right.
If I remember right.
Yeah. They came out with PlayStation. We were like, huh? What is this? We thought Sega Saturn was going to be the be-all, the end-all. Then they came out with these other gaming systems.
Absolutely.
We were.
Well, and again, the Nintendo Entertainment System changed the world.
Oh, the NES changed the world.
I mean, it came out in 1983, something like that, 84 with Donkey Kong.
Yep.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, because now you could sit at home with a joystick and not have to pay a quarter every game.
Well, you had the pad, and it moved left to right instead of vertically.
Right, it was fantastic.
This was the first game that ever moved left to right and not vertically.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was remarkable.
Hey, great trivia question. When was the Nintendo company started?
Oh, it's pre-World War I, I think. I think it was like in the 01 or 1901, 1902.
1899.
See, yeah, that's a.
They were a bicycle
and
game.
One.
They were a bicycle and game company. They made bicycles and games. Then they made slot machines in the 40s and 50s. They didn't start, Then they went to video games, but they were a bicycle and card game and board game company. Then a slot machine company. Before we know them now as the video game gurus.
Well, now I don't think they do anything now.
Nintendo just introduced a new NES system. You can buy a new NES system from Nintendo that comes preloaded with 250. No, it's the original Nintendo NES, but instead of cartridges, it now comes preloaded with 250 games.
Nobody cares about that, but isn't it the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah. But you can
get
the old NES. You can get the NES with Zelda in 8-bit.
Oh, I know that.
Zelda in 8-bit.
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean the amount of that probably takes 1 gigabyte of data to have all of those.
Zelda was next level too, pal. That was next level video game. Next level.
Zelda was. Yeah, Zelda. You're right about that. Yep.
Yeah, Zelda was next level. Yep. You actually had something even though Mario Brothers you had to complete levels and all, Zelda was next level. It was just different.
Sure it was.
Different. Hey, Galen.
Sure.
Where's the Bloodmobile today?
Hey, today we're out at Stone Creek, so please check us out there. And as always, we're right on the boulevard, 1607 East Silver Springs Boulevard, lifesouth.org. We're in emergency need of all blood types, so please give blood. We're trying to prepare for the Memorial Day weekend. Traffic's going to be intense. So the best way to prepare for that is to make sure we have blood on our shelves.
By the
donate blood.
By the way, saw a story this morning, forgot the guy's name, but he's bicycling to all 50 states, and he's going to take a plane to Hawaii.
I know.
And he's donating blood and platelets in every state. So, hey, go
out
and donate blood.
I know him. Guy's a little weird.
Yeah,
not going to lie.
But he's still donating blood. Hey, Galen, talk to you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Love it. All right, bye all.
We'll be right back after this timeout on WOCA, The Source.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.